Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about things that are normal here in Thailand that will seem very weird to Americans. So the first thing on the list is going to be restrooms. In the U.S., you're used to certain things in the restrooms. When you sit down on a toilet, there's going to be toilet paper, right? And when you go to the sink, there's going to be paper towels or something to blow off your hands dry, all that good stuff. A little bit different here. And we also know in the US when we go to sit on a toilet, it's the same kind of toilet we're used to for the most part. Here in Thailand, some of the toilets are what we call, I've named the squatty potty. You've got to squat over them and aim, which is a lot of fun. And when you pull down your pants to go, just try not to basically crap in your own pants. Other than that, there's also not toilet paper in all of the restrooms. As a matter of fact, there's not toilet paper in, I'd say half. They're going to have what they call, it's a water gun, otherwise known as the butt gun. And you just basically, instead of using toilet paper, you use this thing to spray yourself off dry, which actually gets you a lot cleaner than using toilet paper. However, you are a little wet afterwards. And then when you go to wash your hands, a lot of times, most of the time, there are no like paper towels for you to dry your hands on, and a lot of the facilities don't even have something to blow your hands dry. Basically, you're going to go out of it with wet hands and possibly a wet butt. Another thing that's going to seem very weird to Americans is in Thailand, they drive on the left-hand side of the road, not the right. So that's something you're going to have to get used to here. Another thing that I thought was worth mentioning, there are a lot of intersections with lights. And instead of, let's say you're going this way and there's traffic going this way, you both have the green and you both go. A lot of the lights here in Thailand, if it's a 4-lane intersection, only one lane gets a green light at a time. So this direction, maybe this direction, then you got to wait for this direction and then this direction, and it starts all over again, where they don't have 2 lanes going with one green light, which means that the lights are a little bit longer than what you're used to here. So just keep that in mind. Since we're talking about driving, another thing that we didn't realize when we first moved here, we realized it after a while, is that the police tactics here are a little bit different than the US, and I'm going to say thank goodness. You know, in the US, if you speed, you could have an unmarked vehicle hiding somewhere that's going to get you. All those good things, you know, you have a busted light or anything. Cops are always looking around for something to do. They're mobile and they go around everywhere, right? They can pull you over. In Thailand, they don't do that. The only time you're really going to deal with the cops for the most part is at a police checkpoint. So they basically block off the road. You go up there, show them your driver's license, they let you go, or they fine you for something that they find wrong. But you don't have to worry about, let's say you accidentally ran a red light or something. There's no police officer that's going to pull up behind you with their lights and their sirens going. At least I haven't encountered this or saw it done anywhere. I've been here for 3 years. So things are a little bit different for the way the police interact with you while you're driving. Another thing Americans are going to find very strange here is when you go to a restaurant and you go to eat, let's say there's 4 of you, you're not going to all 4 get your food at the same time. At least that's not the norm. The norm is whatever food they got ready first, that's who's getting it first, and it could be another 10 minutes before the next plate of food comes out. So be prepared for that, because I've seen a lot of travelers or people who are new to Thailand get so upset about this, but it's just normal here. And another thing, don't expect too many napkins. Higher end restaurants will provide you with napkins. Some will, and they'll be as thin as tissue paper, and others won't have them at all. also don't expect free refills and your server to be very attentive to you the way it is in the United States. It's just different here. If you want your bill, you're going to have to ask for it. A lot of times they'll give you the menu. They'll give you one menu for a table of 4 and you got to pass it around. And then when you're ready to order, you're going to have to wave them down. They're not just going to come over and say, "Are you ready to order? Would you like more?" or whatever. That's not the way it works here. So don't let that get frustrating to you. Just know ahead of time it's different, very weird for Americans. Another thing that's going to be really weird for Americans is going to be paying more for an entrance fee somewhere because of your looks. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm saying that if you've lived here, I don't care if you've lived here 20 years, and you go up to one of, let's say, a national park, they have 2 prices to get in. One of them is for the Thais, which is very low, and the next one is for a foreigner, which is very high. And they're going to base you being a foreigner, meaning you could have a residence here, lived here for 20 years, whatever, and most of the time they're just going to make you pay that higher thing because they can tell you're not Thai. You're going to feel discriminated against a little bit at first. It's going to get on your nerves, and then you'll eventually get over it. But I just want to let you know ahead of time, don't be surprised if you have to pay more for an entrance into something just because you're not Thai. Another thing that's really weird here for Americans is healthcare. And what's weird about it is that it's cheap, it's good, and you can get in fairly quick. You don't have to wait forever to get an appointment filled. I know of some people that just come to Thailand when they need medical things done because they know that they can get in instantaneously and it's going to cost less. And most of the doctors were trained in Western countries with, good medical schools. So that's something that is strange and you got to get used to being an American. Another thing that's going to seem strange to Americans is the lack of safety precautions. So as you know, in the U.S., everybody sues everybody for everything. Well, that's not the way it is here in Thailand. So a lot of things where you would expect safety rails somewhere, or if there was a huge pothole in a road, you would expect it, to be really safe temporarily until they got it fixed. Nah. Sometimes you'll get a cone, one cone, whatever. Or you see on the side where you're supposed to be walking and there's like all kind of pitfalls everywhere where you could just fall. It's just a thing here. So you're going to have to get used to not as many safety precautions. So if you bring in kids, you really need to keep an eye on them. Another change, and I really like this one, is that you don't have to pump your gas. Here in Thailand, they pump your gas for you. There are some pay at the pump places that aren't even a gas station. It's like this little area in the middle of nowhere where the locals can get their gas, where you will see people pumping, but that's the exception, not the norm. At all the big gas stations, you will not need to pump your gas, which is very nice. Another thing, let's say you're renting a home here in Thailand. When you're looking at homes, you're going to notice that there are some things missing that are pretty much standard procedure for the United States, such as they do have washers in a lot of places that you can rent, but they don't have dryers because they air dry things. They do sell dryers here, so you can get that. Now you'll find they don't have the vent to hook it up to, so most of the time your dryer, if you buy one, will have to be outside. Dishwashers really aren't a thing here, and ovens. Ovens, they do have them. It's just not the norm here. You're gonna have to really look hard or at a higher end place to find an oven. They just don't use ovens a whole lot here. And my wife wanted me to make sure I added this one, is they usually don't have hot water in the kitchen. So whenever we have rented different homes, we have to have a water heater installed in the kitchen so we can use hot water to clean our plates and pots. Remember, there's no dishwasher. Another thing you're going to see here in Thailand that's very different from the United States is that there are street dogs running around everywhere. Most of them will not mess with you, but don't let your kids waltz up and pet these animals. They are street dogs. They are not home pets. So they will only get aggressive if you try to pet them or if they're being territorial for some other strange reason. In the U.S., as you know, if you see a dog running around the neighborhood, you call animal control, they pick them up, everything's good. Not the way it works here, so just be prepared for it. Well, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We'd really appreciate it. If you are planning on visiting Thailand, make sure you get travel insurance. We have a link down in the description where you can find out how much travel insurance would be, whether you're visiting Thailand or anywhere else in the world, so make sure you check that out. And until next time, I'm going to say thank you in Thai, which is Kap Kun Kap.